2013-14, Luis Suarez. This season was the season Liverpool came closest to winning the Premier League without actually winning it. And who was the one leading this title charge? Well, a Uruguayan man that goes by the name of Luis Suarez. He bagged 31 goals in 33 games, which at the time was the record for the most goals in a single season in the Premier League. And get this, he missed the first 5 games of the season for munching on Branislav Ivanovic's shoulder the season before. What made the season even more spectacular is that out of these 31 goals, a total of 0 of them came for penalties, which by the way was the most goals scored in a single season without penalties ever, only behind Andy Cole in 1994. He also bagged a staggering 3 hat-tricks this season against West Brom, Cardiff, and of course the iconic one against Norwich City, which to this day is probably one of the greatest hat-tricks in the history of the Premier League. First of all, a volley from 50 yards out. The second was an acrobatic weak foot finish from a corner. The third, which was probably the goal of the season, where he flicks it over the defender's head and hits it on the half volley from the top of the box, rifling it into the back of the net. And to finish it off, he scored a peach of a free kick to give him his 4th of the day. If this game doesn't show you how deadly Suarez was at Liverpool, I don't know what will. And despite him and Sturridge combining for a staggering 52 goals this season, it still wasn't enough, because this was the season the infamous Gerrard slip happened, and also the 3-3 collapse at Crystal Palace where they blew a 3-0 lead. Unfortunately, Liverpool didn't win the Premier League that season, but boy did Suarez shine. And in the end, he won the PFA Player of the Year and the Golden Boot by a country mile. He left Liverpool that summer after 3 years, but boy were those 3 years special. 2014-15, Sergio Aguero. After years of battling injuries, Aguero finally had a full healthy season at Man City in 14-15. Well, not necessarily, he still missed like 2 months of that season, but compared to all his other seasons at City, this was as injury free as it got for Aguero. He scored 26 goals in 33 games. Just like Suarez before him, he also scored an outrageous 3+ goal hat-trick, where he bagged 5 goals in a 20-minute spell against Newcastle. And also, just like Suarez before him, his goal tally wasn't enough to secure the Premier League title, with Chelsea having it wrapped up with 3 games to spare. Despite the upset though, Aguero got his hands on the Golden Boot, finally cementing himself as one of the best players in the Premier League. 2015-16, Harry Kane. He bagged 25 goals this season in 38 matches. He proved himself to be one of the most complete strikers in the Premier League this season and put the one-season wonder allegations to rest. He and Jamie Vardy were not only in a Golden Boot race with each other, but also a title race. But when it mattered most, Spurs and Kane crumbled. This was the year the infamous Battle of the Bridge game happened. Tottenham, in typical Spurs fashion, drew the game 2-2, which essentially just handed the trophy over to Leicester City. And to add insult to injury, they got battered in the final day of the season by a relegated Newcastle side, which ensured that Arsenal finished above them. So they didn't even finish second. In the end, Vardy finished with 24 goals and the Premier League trophy, while Kane left with the 25 goals and the Golden Boot. 2016-17, Harry Kane with the back-to-back. He bagged 29 goals this season in 30 Premier League appearances, and he even had 7 goals in the last 2 games of the season. This was probably the best Tottenham team in a long time, with the attacking lineup of Kane, Son, Dele Alli, and Christian Eriksen. But of course, Tottenham being Tottenham would again bottle it. This time to Antonio Conte's Chelsea, which meant that Conte won the Premier League trophy with his first season in the league. 17-18, Mo Salah. It was his first season back in the Premier League after a nightmare first spell with Chelsea. But at Liverpool, he came with a vengeance. He bagged 32 goals in 36 games, breaking the record for most goals in a 38-game season. He was scoring against everyone, the relegation teams, top 6 teams, it didn't matter to Mo. He formed a deadly partnership with Sadio Mane and Firmino. But in the end, just like all the players we talked about in this video so far, his heroics weren't enough to get him a trophy. They finished 4th in the Premier League, but while they did make it to the Champions League final, Salah almost got his arm taken off by Sergio Ramos, which meant that he had to come off within the first 30 minutes of the final. And Liverpool did end up losing 3-1 in that game. 2018-19, Salah, Mane, and Aubameyang. This year, we actually had an unprecedented 3-way tie for the Golden Boot for the first time since 1999. Salah, Mane, and Alba all finished with 22 goals, and funny enough, it actually was almost a 4-way tie because Aguero narrowly missed out, finishing with 21 goals. Speaking of Aguero, Liverpool were in a thrilling title race with Man City where they pushed each other to the very end. Liverpool unfortunately finished the season with 97 points while Man City finished with 100. But Liverpool did end up getting their hands on the Champions League trophy unlike the year before, beating Tottenham 2-0 in the final. Aubameyang, on the other hand, was in his first ever Premier League season with Arsenal. But despite him being one of the Golden Boot winners, they finished 5th, missing out on the Champions League football. 2019-20, Jamie Vardy, the year of the COVID. Jamie Vardy ended that season with 23 goals in the Premier League, finally winning it after years of being one of the most prolific strikers of the Premier League. While Leicester didn't have a historic season like they did in 2016, they still had a pretty good year. They were challenging for the top 4. Unfortunately, they ended up finishing in 5th spot. Jamie Vardy, however, finished with the Golden Boot, and at one point, he scored in 8 consecutive games. Not as much as the 11 in a row he scored a couple years back, but still very, very impressive. 2020-2021, Harry Kane. A hat-trick of golden boots this year for Harry Kane, but he didn't just win the golden boot that season, but also the playmaker award given to the player with the most assists. He ended the season with 23 goals and 14 assists, becoming only the second player in league history to win both awards since Henry did it in 2004. And this season was really when the link up between him and Son Heung-min was at its peak. And there was even a game against Southampton where Kane had 4 assists, all 4 of them to Son. Despite this though, Spurs yet again had a below par season, finishing 7th in the league. They did however make it to the Carabao Cup final, but they sacked the special one Jose Mourinho, a manager who rarely lost in finals by the way, and they paid for that decision because they lost 1-0 in the cup final to Manchester City. 2021-22. This year we would again see another tie, and it again involved Mo Salah. This time it was him and Son, sharing the award with 23 goals apiece. Heung-min Son became the first ever Asian player to win the Premier League Golden Boot, and even more impressively, with 0 penalties. Salah on the other hand also had a great year, but they came short of the Premier League title yet again, losing on the final day. 22-23, Erling Haaland. He came and he conquered. In his first season as a City player, Erling Haaland broke every record imaginable while also winning almost every single trophy available to him. He scored 36 Premier League goals, smashing the previous record of 34 in a 42 game season. And boy, let me tell you, if I try listing off all the records he broke that season, it'll take me hours. So I'm gonna just list off the biggest ones. He became the fastest player to ever get 3 hat-tricks in the Premier League, most goals in a single season for a City player, fastest to score 10, 20, and 25 goals in a Premier League season, first player in Prem history to score a hat-trick in 3 consecutive home games. And trust me, I could go on and on and on. And unlike most of the names on this list so far, Haaland didn't just achieve individual success, but also team success, guiding Man City to an unprecedented treble and winning them their first ever Champions League trophy. 23-24, Haaland again. While he wasn't as insane as he was the year before, Haaland was still scoring at a crazy rate. He finished the season with 27 goals, which was enough to clinch him his second golden boot in a row, and also 4 Premier League titles in a row for Manchester City, the first time in league history. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap on the last 10 Premier League golden boot winners. And with that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe because best believe we are here to take over.